The Whispering River, blank underscore, blank. The body in the current. Night draped Warsaw's riverfront in cigarette smoke fog when the call reached me. An unidentified floater snagged beneath the Świętokrzeskie Bridge. I met Detective Krajewska at the floodlit pier. Her breath rose in steam halos, her eyes sharp as frost. The corpse, male, mid-40s, bobbed in the eddies like a grotesque buoy. Fingertips sliced clean, teeth extracted, face bruised purple by stones and time. Whoever he had been, someone wanted him mute and nameless. As River Patrol wrestled the body onto a tarpaulin, I noticed a thumb-sized tattoo just behind the left ear. An hourglass, empty at the top, grains forever suspended mid-fall. A patrolman handed me a waterproof satchel fished from the same current. Inside, beneath river silt, lay a children's pop-up book, Silent Streams, its cardboard pages hollowed into a crude reliquary. Nestled within, a cassette tape, black shell, red sticker reading Play After Sunset. Krajewska muttered, "Job for forensics." "No," I said, pocketing the tape. "Job for someone who still owns a cassette deck." The tape. Back in my office, the dusk bled violet through blinds. I dug the dusty Nakamichi from a drawer, cleaned the heads with cheap vodka, fed the tape. Static crackled like frying fat. Then a boyish voice sang a nursery rhyme I half remembered from primary school. "River, river, swallow the sun." 7 voices drowned to one. The child's voice morphed, time stretched, into a man's whisper processed through coils of tape echo. 7 voices. 1 river. And the current. And the noise. Listen where the city's thirst once drank. Coordinates followed, latitude, longitude, pointing uptown to a concrete intake tower abandoned since 1989. The tape ended with a metallic clack that jolted me back 30 years. Same clack as the boombox confession of the Vistula strangler. I booted my laptop. The hourglass tattoo surfaced in an old dossier. Victor Lasco, chief diver for Municipal Waterworks, disappeared during a maintenance dive the night the intake pumps catastrophically failed. File stamped classified 1987. The dead man at the pier, fingertips removed, teeth gone. Could be any of 6 workers missing after the collapse. But the hourglass said Lasco's ghost still kept score. The intake station. Midnight. River Patrol Officer Marek Lasco, Victor's grandson, I later learned, rowed me against a sluggish current toward the hulking silhouette of the intake tower. Rusted gratings moaned like church organs, each time wind-bent reeds. Inside, our flashlights cut cones through sediment dust. Control panels glimmered with broken gauges. Along a tiled corridor hung Polaroids laminated in plastic. 7 portraits, each labeled with bureaucratic titles. Engineer, foreman, inspector, their smiles off-angle, like yearbook photos of the soon-to-be dead. Beneath every Polaroid, mannequin hands displayed trophies. 10 severed fingertips apiece, nails lacquered by river stain. At corridor's end, under a skylight, stood an oak chair and an 8mm projector aimed at a crumbling wall. A single fresh Polaroid lay on the seat. I lifted it. My own face, taken earlier that day on the pier. On the back, ink bled. Voice number 6. A chill deeper than April seeped through my coat. Somewhere, a switch clicked. The projector whirred, spilling jerky footage. Construction divers laughing beside the intake in 87. Film burnt white as the pump explosion flashed. Then black leader thumped endlessly. Marek's voice trembled. "We should leave." "No," I replied. "We listen." The voice collector. Morning light painted the office windows dull pewter as I traced bureaucratic footprints. I found retired civil engineer Zofia Piotrowska in a Maranow flat scented of valerian and gilt. Her eyes flicked to the hourglass Polaroid. She sighed, poured tea that smelled of earth. I wondered when the river would send someone, she said. She unraveled the buried truth. In 1987, the ministry discovered toxic effluent from a clandestine factory contaminating intake lines. 7 senior waterworks staff threatened to blow the whistle. The ministry's secret police staged a pump malfunction, sealed the workers inside the flooded shaft. Divers, led by Victor, were ordered to recover bodies, but instead witnessed executions. When Victor refused silence, the secret police turned on the divers too. But Victor survived, I said. Victor survived long enough to swear the river itself would judge, Zofia whispered, sliding a rust-flecked dive knife across the table. An hourglass was etched into its tang. He posted me this 15 years ago with a note. Return when the 7th voice speaks. Her lips quivered. I'm the 7th. Downstream. By cross-referencing coroner's ledgers and obituaries, I mapped 6 high-profile deaths since 2000. Each victim a mid-level official involved in the 1987 cover-up. Each body found near water, fingers or teeth missing, an hourglass tattoo carved post-mortem behind the ear. The man fished from the Vistula, the pier victim, was Deputy Minister Vlodarchik, final bureaucrat tied to the massacre. That left only Zofia, the sole civilian engineer who retroactively signed false safety certificates. Storm clouds corrugated the dusk as I sped north along the levee toward Zofia's riverside dacha. Rain hammered tree crowns like a firing squad. The cottage stood dark, door ajar, generator thunking its last breaths. Inside, overturned furniture, glass shards, and Zofia's diary sprawled open. Confession cleanses noise. Muddy footprints. Large. Booted. Led down to the boathouse jetty. Thunder stuttered overhead as I descended. Lantern glow. Limbed a figure, binding Zofia to a pier piling. Water already licking her knees. He wore a hooded slicker. The hourglass tattoo glistened behind his ear. Tide of confession. Marek! I shouted above wind, recognizing the patrol officer's build. He turned, rain sliding off his hood. His eyes shone fanatic white. My grandfather drowned unnamed, he hissed. They forgot 6 voices. Tonight, the 7th sings. She's 80, I argued. Age doesn't erase guilt, he said, brandishing the dive knife. Silence will. The tide surged, slamming driftwood against pilings. I edged closer, hands up. You're not your grandfather's revenge, Marek. He saved lives. He exposed truth. Killing her drowns his memory in the same muck. He lunged. I twisted, the blade grazing my shoulder. Lightning flash blinded us. I rammed a boat hook into the mooring cleat. The jetty section supporting us lurched free. River current yanked it downstream, dumping Marek into black churn. I cut Zofia's bonds. We crawled onto the embankment as the loose jetty rode away, Marek's cries swallowed by thunder. Echoes of water. Dawn bleached the river pewter. Search boats scoured debris fields, returning with nothing but Marek's patrol cap snagged in reed beds. Officially drowned, unofficially missing, like so many the Vistula kept. Zofia's sworn deposition cracked 30-year secrecy. Headlines screamed, Ministry hid river massacre. Mass graves exhumed by forensic divers. Lawsuits queued like barges at a lock. Weeks later, I walked the riverbank at twilight. The intake tower loomed, windows boarded, yet I swore I heard a child's nursery rhyme carried on ripples. I pulled the hourglass knife from my coat, its steel cold as river stones. I whispered, let the river keep the secret, and the silence it earned. I tossed the blade. It spun, caught sunrise, and vanished into the current with a final hiss. Water forgets nothing. It only whispers the truth in voices quiet enough for those who finally choose to listen. End.